Hello, everybody, and welcome to your fashionably late episode of WrestleZone
Unfiltered! Yay!
As always, joining me, Paul, Canada's greatest export. He finally put it on his intro there. It was nice of you to do that. You gonna make it over there? You sore? You coughing? What are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm always just tired, and it was actually really cool today. So hopefully, I'm not coming down with something.
Well, I'm going to catch you off guard. We're going to start off this week because we're late, and it's my fault because I'm messing around
with shit like this.
And, you know, I couldn't hear Paul, and Paul could hear me, and it just doesn't work out like that. So,
Now we're here to steal the show.
And we're going to kick it off right now, and I've probably given him one more to go with. Brand new segment, Paul's Pet Peeves. Give it to us, Paul.
Okay. People. Okay, I'm mostly directing this towards people who run independent companies. My big pet peeve now is when you're watching a wrestling match, it's a tag match, and the tag teams are not using the red and blue corner. You all know what I mean, because every major company uses the exact same corners. The good guys are in the far left, the bad guys are in the near right. WWE, AEW, New Japan, AAA, everybody uses it. So when you have an independent show and you switch the corners, it legitimately confuses people because in our brains, we haven't been told this outright, but we've been told that's where the good guys sit. This is where the bad guys sit. So when you swap them, I noticed this. It was such a weird thing, but in some companies, they swap them because they want the heels to face the camera. The crowd, it weirds out the crowd for some reason. So it's just such a very small thing that I notice now, but that I feel like that's exactly what a pet peeve is. Just it's meaningless, but to me, it's like just there's a history, there's reasons. Like, did you know that when the good guys are in the back left corner and they're facing the camera, their face faces the camera, and when the bad guys are on the bottom right, their heels are facing the camera. There's logic to it. So people, please, if you're doing a tag match, respect the red and blue corners, please. Okay.
Is that all you got for that? Because I could throw 10 times more on top of a tag match.
If
And
you that's just a very, very nitpicky specific thing. Like I can get in, I have more off the top of my head. Like I could probably do 5 minutes on people who do the kick out of the leg scissors thing. Oh my god.
Well, but we were just referring to the tag team bull crap because the people that don't grab the tag rope, the companies that don't even put a tag rope in, and then when the guy's standing, he's either standing on the bottom rope or he's halfway through the ropes already, and the ref allows the tag. Oh, it just shit drives me crazy, man.
And these are all unsaid rules. They're all unspoken, but we all know what they are. It's like those rumors that you heard on the playground. We all heard the same rumors somehow. We all heard that Marilyn Manson removed 2 of his ribs. We don't know how we heard this, but every school heard this. When you're watching a tag match and you see these little things, it irritates the fans because we go, you're supposed to be holding the corner. You're not supposed to be halfway through. Okay, if you're a heel, do that because that's the point. But follow some of the basic guidelines, people. Like, drives me up the wall, utterly up the wall. It's such a small thing, red and blue corners, but come on. But yes, tag ropes. If you don't have a tag rope, get a shoelace. Like, the fans aren't going to tell, So yeah,
that's the little things I pick up on. I'll be sitting there watching something. It could be company X, pick one. And there's just like some will do one part of it and the other company will do the other part of it, but both companies don't do all of it. It's like,
yes, but I can totally get you there. But to me, it's sometimes you notice things more when all the companies do it. Like WWE for a while didn't do the tag rope, but when they did it, your brain goes, yeah, that makes sense. So when you see it in AEW, when you see it in New Japan, when you see it in AAA, when you see it in independence, your brain goes, I know why that's there, and I know the rule. And now, okay, now that you have a rule established, The heel can break the rule and get heat and get over, and now you have a match on your hands.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's the basics. It's the little things that all add up. And to me, the red and blue corner, just it's one of those things that no one thinks about, but makes a whole world of difference when it
Well,
comes
if you go back in the annals of history, and I know people have heard me go on and on and on about the Rock and Roll and Midnight Express and some of the other teams, but you go back and watch some of those matches, and I don't think, I mean, I can't think of a team off the top of my head that does the hot tag right these days, but whatever. That's just me. But you go back and like the baby faces, he'd be just Gibson and be in the corner ready for that hot tag from Morton, but he let go of the tag rope and they get the tag. Tommy Young, like, nope, you weren't holding the rope. Or, the heel distracts the referee, of course, and he don't allow the tag. And, it's like nowadays, every once in a while, you'll come across a tag match where, he hit the referee, be like, nope, I didn't see the tag, get out. But most of the time, they just,
And that goes into a bigger pet peeve that we can save for Forbidden Door, because I feel like it touches on that subject. It's like, slow it down. Sometimes these people, you guys do a bit too much. But if you slow it down, like, okay, Eddie Guerrero once took the tag rope and attached it to the rope and just started walking across the ring with it, and he got a massive pop. Little things, you know what I mean? If that rope's not there, you can't do that bit. If that rope's not there, the heels can't cheat. If that, like little things, but that one thing matters so much when it comes to tag wrestling and where they're positioned and how they're like, how you're presenting them.
All right. Speaking of pet peeve, let's just dive right in the Forbidden Door.
Okay.
And I'm going to start because I'm surprised Danny didn't make it on tonight to do backflips because her boyfriend was finally back on TV. But they put him with Don Callis. Everybody for however many months it's been, where's Wardlow? And he comes out with Don Callis. So Kenny Omega was already Kenny Omega when Callis was accompanying him. So I'll pose this question to you because maybe I'm just missing something. Besides Kyle Fletcher, who has benefited from being put with Don Callis? I mean, Josh Alexander. I mean, he comes in his first night. He takes the pinfall on his first night. Then he goes with Don Callis, and he's lost more matches than he's won. I mean, Lance Archer, whether he's with Callis or not, winds up laying down for everybody, which I still find ridiculous.
The only argument I have with Lance Archer is he's on TV. Hey, so I'm okay with Lance Archer being there.
I mean, I've seen, he's got a pretty comical demeanor. If you every once in a while I'll come across one of his TikTok videos, and he's a very religious guy that lives in Texas. Thanks God for another day, and he just seems like he's got a good sense of humor. And
you're talking about Lance Archer?
Yes, not anything, nothing that comes across on TV, but he seems like a pretty down to earth guy.
And I've seen his work in Japan and his tag stuff, his faction work. Like, he's a fantastic worker for his age and his size. So to me, I'm happy to see him be.
Do you remember his first gimmick on TV?
Hoyt?
Nope, that was second.
Oh, what was this?
They had brought him in, and I can't remember who he was with. He come in as kind of like somebody's bodyguard, and they called him Dallas in TNA, and it wasn't probably 4 or 5 months after he started that Diamond Dallas Page signed with him. So they changed his name to Lance Hoyt.
Oh, that's funny. Dallas is a great wrestling name. I get a buddy who is a worker, and his name is Dallas, and he doesn't use it as his wrestling name, which I think is ridiculous. Such a fantastic name.
So what's your take on Wardlow with old Don Callis?
So I'm of two minds. Because I watch so much New Japan and I'm used to factions and seeing factions interact, I feel like putting him with the Don Callis family is good because he can be in more matches. He can do more like tag matches, and now he's sort of in the fray. But saying that, AEW is not necessarily the best when it comes to factions, especially like the Gato style big 7-man factions, 8-man factions. Wardlow's got to be the only big man in that group. So maybe they kick out Lance Archer, maybe they do something, but he can be the only big man, or he's just going to get lost in the shuffle again.
Well, that's kind of, I mean, I agree that he needs to be somewhere, like with an MJF, but I just think with Callis, he's going to get lost in the shuffle. I don't know if he got, he was taken off TV when I guess it was because Adam Cole got hurt, or maybe it was when he got hurt as well. I don't know, but they were teasing that friction between him and Adam Cole because he was supposed to win the world title and hand it to Adam Cole, and of course he lost.
Is Wardlow in the Don Callis family because they can't get Hechicero like a lot? Because they basically fill the same role, and Hechicero's better.
Well, I mean, God, Hechicero's been on TV for the past month.
Consistently. That's the word I was looking for in my head. But like, can they get him week to week, or are they gonna bring him up every so often and then let Wardlow take the week to week spot? I
don't know, but he's been there. It seems at least on one of the two shows, I mean, if anybody's listening, want to correct me if I'm wrong. It feels to me like at least the past 6 to 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm. And he's fantastic. I love Hechicero. Like way better than Wardlow.
He was getting I don't know if you watched Dynamite last night, but that ECW arena was going nuts for him last night.
He's that perfect mix of lucha without the flippy man stuff. He's got psychology, he's got submissions, he's got powerhouse, and Hechicero, if I heard correctly, is just wizard in Spanish. So there's a bit of that, which is always fun. American crowds always love a bit of fireballs from the hands and stuff. I think he's over as Rover, and Wardlow, you can't compete with Hechicero, unfortunately.
Well, you bring them both up. I mean, like I said, again, the only one that Okada's Okada with or without Don Callis. It doesn't matter. It's kind of like Kenny was Kenny with or without Don Callis. And so to me, nobody's getting like Josh Alexander. We'll use him for example again. He TNA world champion, got a lot of got a lot of comparisons to Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes to AEW, and it's just, I mean, when he comes out, the crowd's just like, yeah.
I hate to say it because I do like Josh Alexander.
I like him too. It's just that goes back to what I was saying about getting lost with that.
But right now, Josh Alexander, okay, Josh, if I ever meet you in real life, please don't hurt me and know that, this is all for fun. He reminds me of a bit of Shane Douglas, where Shane Douglas is great as a big fish in a small pond. But as soon as Shane Douglas went to WWE or WCW, he's now a normal fish in a massive pond, and it didn't quite fit. So then when he would go to ECW, boom, he'd have all the success because he's a big fish, small pond. So is Josh kind of in that slot? I think he's
you and I don't disagree often, but I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that one.
Okay, I'd love to hear it.
And here's why I say that.
Okay,
Shane Douglas, when he left, and I was not a big Shane Douglas fan when he was the white meat baby face with the short hair and doing the whole WCW thing with Ricky Steamboat and the tag team champions, and they had to put Tom Zink under a mask when he got pissed and left, and whatever, doesn't matter. But he goes and gets with Heyman. They do that whole angle to where he wins the NWA title tournament, throws it down. Everybody knows that story. But he goes to the WWF as Dean Douglas. I mean,
okay. No, I will agree that he was not given a great gimmick.
But then he goes back to ECW. Then he goes to WCW as the franchise Shane Douglas. But
he was okay.
It was a neutered version of the franchise Shane Douglas.
And apparently he had massive beef with Flair, and that created a whole thing. So
do you not know why him and Flair had heat?
As far as I know, it was a one-sided heat, and Flair does not know who Shane Douglas is.
Well, here's what happened. It's a funny story, actually. Shane was on the booking committee, Somehow, some way, he got on the booking committee. And no, it wasn't Shane. That was Eddie Gilbert. Never mind. Different story. Never mind. They're different guy.
All right. Josh Alexander. Yeah.
But yep, no. When Eddie Gilbert was on the booking committee with Flair, they, Flair always sent, if he wasn't going to be on the card, he sent the match card, what he wanted to do. And Eddie Gilbert, they went to Memphis. Eddie Gilbert was big in Memphis, and Eddie Gilbert was wrestling Ron Simmons, who they were pushing toward the world title at the time. And he was scheduled to go over on Ron. Ron Simmons, of course, scheduled to go over. And when they got to Memphis, Eddie changed the finish. And he didn't beat Ron Simmons per se, but he changed it to a DQ or some shit like that, to where he got his hand raised. And
it's a schmoz finish, yeah.
Yeah, and when Flair heard about it, he just lost his shit. He was like, "Who is this little prick changing my finishes, man?"
But yeah, that's okay. That's how I feel about Josh Alexander's very Shane Douglas feel. But I can definitely get that you disagree to that.
Well, like I said, I was never a big Shane Douglas fan. I just, that gimmick that he got over in ECW. And I feel the same way about Raven. I loved Raven in ECW. But when the Raven character came to WCW, it was a neutered version.
Yeah.
And I don't think Shane needed Paul to write for him, but Scott Anthony did. And nobody got that Raven character like Paul Heyman. And
so is that what's happening with Josh now? No one sort of knows what to do with him, but in TNA,
to me, Josh Alexander,
people really knew what to do with him?
To me, Josh Alexander's easy.
It's so simple.
He let him do his TNA gimmick, go out there, and he's not a great promo. He doesn't need to be a great promo. You let him, you let his, kind of like Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock was never a great promo.
Just intensity.
Yeah, you let him go out there and just be a badass. But now he's out there, begging off, and just doing all the chicken shit heel stuff. And that, it's just like I said, I just think it's hard to bring somebody back up after you've done washed them down like that.
Yeah.
To me, that's just, your audience is already like, but I will tell you, Edge and Christian did not disappoint, especially last night.
It's like, hold on. We got a lot of the card to go through. But before we end our Josh Alexander talk, I just want to bring up, because he was in that 0 hour 8-man tag. What did you think? Because I heard the crowd of how they thought of this person. What did you think of Yuya Uemura?
If I told you I didn't watch it, would you be mad at me?
No, I wouldn't be mad at you, because it was a pre-show.
I didn't see it.
And honestly, that's a bit of a.
I did turn it on. I looked at the clock because football hadn't started yet, and I was like, "Oh shit, that does come on today." So I flipped on the pre-show, and I actually had planned on buying it because I wanted to see Edge and Christian. And I had to go do something. I left like 20 minutes into the pre-show after I turned it on. I think what was on when I left was the women 8 tag match.
So I will say that the 8-man tag, they came out hot. They have all these, like, Yuya Uemura, I would argue, is the best up and coming wrestler right now. Like, in 5 years, this guy's just going to be the best by far. El Desperado's one of the best already. We have Hechicero. We have Josh Alexander. Those 4 out of the 8, what are they doing on the pre-show? Like, I know it's a big show and we got a lot, but like, you got Yuya Uemura and El Desperado and you put them on the pre-show? I don't know. But I will say that the women's match right after, I felt tried to keep the same pace as the men's match, and I was kind of dying by the end of it. No offense to the women, like, they were doing phenomenal work, but it was like, this pace, you can't keep this pace up. It's tiring me out already, and we're not even in the main show.
That part of that women's match is a lot of the issue that I wind up having with AEW as a whole. And, you'll get a lot of people online when you criticize AEW, they think you're automatically just tooting the horn of the WWE. It's like, no, that's not who was on this past weekend, but, Chris Statlander. What the hell are we doing with Chris Statlander? I mean, her and Willow have been up and down, and Willow didn't want nothing. Once she fired Stokely Hathaway, and she came and tried to apologize, and then she looked like she was going to be a heel again, and then the Death Riders trying to talk her into coming over there, and then
yeah, it seems like they want her on TV because I like Chris Statlander. Like she's good. She's a good talent. So let's get her on TV. Let's put her with some people. What do we do? It's like a booking fantasy game where you're just like, get her on TV. It doesn't matter how. Just get her on TV.
And so I mean, like I said, I like Chris too. It's just make up your mind. Do one that you can have her on TV. Just stop flip flopping her.
Please team her with Jamie Hayter and make them like a That 70s Show gimmick, because Jamie Hayter returning looked exactly like Donna from That 70s Show with the hair and the top and the pants so high. Oh, I was laughing.
I have no idea what we were talking about the other night, but for some odd reason, something she said made me go grab my phone and pull up what WCW had done to Mike Awesome when he come out with the polyester and the big, the 3 to 4 big ass fat women that weighed more than he did. That's just not trying to offend nobody. Look it up. That's what they did to him. And they, Mike Awesome, the fat chick thriller. And
what's the name? Yeah. It was bad.
And she thought I was kidding. I'm like, no, hold on. I'm going to find this for you. She was like, oh dear God, they really did that. I'm like, yeah, they did.
Okay. Now, not to defend the Mike Awesome's gimmick that he was given, but I will say that 70s fashion for women now has kind of come back a little. Like Jamie Hayter looked great. So I think as long as you don't like lean into that 70s show part of it and just make it sort of a general style, I think it can work. Just
well, I'm that 2025 typical male that likes the crazy ones. So I'm kind of digging Julia Hart and Sky Blue and Tekla. That kind of wakes me up a little bit.
Hey, but you need one to have the other work. You know what I mean? Because if you had Donna versus Julia Hart, just the imagery alone would get people. Jamie Hayter looks like the girl next door, make her look real normal person, and then Julia Hart comes out just disgusted. I mean, like, she's a beautiful woman, but the aura they're going for is very like demonic and gross. And
I am kind of curious back with the women though, that where Trick Williams still has the TNA world title for the men, and JC Jane had won the women's knockouts title, and she lost it this past weekend at another premium live event that I forgot it came on TV. But she lost it to Ash by Elegance, who used to be Dana Brooke. It's like, well, yeah, you took it off of her, but you didn't put it on one of our original people. You put it on one of your, okay. And I mean, I'll tell you too, Trick Williams has held that TNA title a lot longer than I ever thought he would. I mean, him winning it didn't, I was kind of a little surprised, but I'm like, they're trying to get TNA, make some of the WWE fans watch TNA. But I mean, damn, we're going on like 6 months since he's had that title. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Trick looks like $1 million. He can cut a promo. I mean,
but do something.
Yeah.
Like,
he's not bad in the ring. He's sufficient in the ring. His personality, his charisma takes him a lot further than his in-ring ability does. But, it's like, what are we even doing here? I mean, he's running through your entire roster, and he's not, y'all aren't paying him a dime.
The Bob Holly push. I'm going to get the belt and then beat everyone. And then what? I don't know.
All right, we're off subject. Let's get back to
it's all right. Next up on the results here, we have the AEW World Trios Champion. Trios Championship match, the Ops versus Bullet Club War Dogs. This got me back into the show, to be honest.
So, because one I need to go watch.
This one was a really good one, but it's Joe, Shibata, and Hobbs versus 3 New Japan guys. So it's physical. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of malarkey.
Now, Joe does this walk. Who's the one guy with the Bullet Club that looks like a younger Shawn Michaels?
Currently, younger Shawn Michaels? Are you talking about Blake Christian? He wasn't in.
there was a guy when they came out, and I thought that's who they said they were was the Bullet Club from New Japan.
Oh, so the Bullet Club War Dogs from that match were 3 people. Clark Connors, who's got kind of the longer hair and the trunks. Drilla Maloney, who's like Italian. Like he's got that kind of shape to him, and he's very like tan. And then Robbie X was the third person, kind of odd looking fella to me. I don't know if he was a.
It was Clark Connors. That's who it is.
Clark Connors got the long hair.
Yep.
He was using a tire as a weapon for a while. Fun fact. So to tell you.
Yep, that's the one it was because he had the cowboy hat on and the long hair.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a while. He's fantastic. Very physical. Very like kind of in there. Drilla Maloney, I think, stole the Steiner driver. So if I remember correctly, like picks you up for the suplex.
Yep.
And then boom,
that's one Brian Cage tried to do, and every time he did it, I thought he was going to kill somebody.
The Drilla Killa is the name of Drilla Maloney's finishing move, and it's vicious. And as far as I know, he hasn't hurt a soul with it. So,
well,
good,
yeah,
good for you.
Not that I never heard Brian Cage did either, but it's the way it looked. I'm like, dear God, you can't kill somebody.
To be fair, some people can't get the kind of timing right, the way that you have to sit on the impact, but he absolutely nails it. Did you it's like, which part did you kick into? Because up next on the card I see Adam Copeland, Christian Cage versus I don't know why they called him Kill Switch, because that was someone else's name before.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Like I said again, I was gone when the pay-per-view came on. I was actually going to get it, but I had to leave. But I went back and caught highlights, and and that was a nice little finish that they did with this, Christian holding him up for the spear and then getting the pin. But them wrestling is fine, but what they do well together was what they did last night. And did you not see it?
No, I spent all my time watching Forbidden Door. I was like, this is like 4 hours long.
Well, just give you a quick synopsis of what happened last night. They FTR come down and they were bitching at the referee about how he messed up, and he needed to reverse his decision because the wrong man was pinned. And of course, goes back to the tag team thing. It's like it was a triple threat tag team match. It didn't matter. But, nor here nor there. Just a little side fact, but it didn't matter who got pinned. But so they're doing that, and they're picking on Paul Turner was the referee, and shit happens, and they hit Edge's music and it was funny because I looked at her. I said, all right, let's cue some Edge music in 3, 2, and before I got to 1, his music hit. And I'm like, I have been watching this shit way too long.
Boom, perfect.
And so he comes out, but he's looking behind him, like, where the hell is he at? He's looking, his facials were great. And then, so of course, FTR, they're in the ring and he's got their attention. And the next thing you see is the camera back to the ring. Christian's come from the other side, and he's dropped Stokely with the kill switch. And so, they were in the ECW arena last night, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so once FTR is cleared out of the ring and security separated them and Edge and Christian in the ring, Edge is talking about something, and Christian grabs a mic, and he goes in he's still using that heel persona. He's still got the turtleneck and the vest. And he looks and he goes, what I don't even remember the segue into it, but he was talking about something. He's like, Dax, I know you have a father, and Cash, I know you have a father. And Edge grabbed the microphone out of his hand. He said, no, we're not doing that anymore. What is wrong with you? And the crowd starts booing. And Edge just takes the mic. He's like, man, y'all are some sick people here. Here, take the damn microphone. And he hands it back to Christian. He goes, and Cash, you have a father, and that bitch is dead. And he hands the mic back to Edge. And I'm like, yeah, this is what
I will say that the crowd in London had the best chant for Christian Cage. They used it for Bailey a few years ago, but oh well. They repeat a lot of chants and just change them up. But it was oh, hey, Christian, ooh, I want to know if you'll be my dad. Perfect. And they just kept going. Perfect. London crowd, perfect. And you could see I'm gonna just say Edge. You can see Edge kind of like does this. He kind of go like looks to the crowd with a big smile and then goes back to the match. Like, all right, you got me on that one.
Yeah. What's the next pay-per-view coming up? All Out is the next pay-per-view coming up. The way they ended that last night, 'cause like I said, he said after he handed the mic back, he got his father bit out and handed the mic back to Edge, and he said a few more things and got over the rope and was like, and I've already talked to Tony Khan, and at All Out, FTR versus CNC. I was like, it's ENC, but okay, we'll go with it. But it should be a good match. I mean, FTR is a good enough tag team to, any slowdown in the Edge and Christian,
Oh yeah, those guys are
they can
some of the best hands that you could have, and especially like a tag team match. Those guys are in pretty good shape, but they are pushing 50 or whatever. I think the Edge might be in his 50s, but
their Edge is like, I think he's 2 or 3 years older than Christian is. I mean, it's not much, but it's right around there somewhere.
But hey, go look at the Noah roster if you want to see how long people can work, right? Some of those guys are in their 60s and they still do tag.
I mean, Lou Thesz wrestled in his 70s. Dory Funk wrestled in his 70s. Hell, I think Dory Funk wrestled a match a couple of years ago when he turned 80.
It's like Terry Funk retired in his 70s 3 times.
Well, I mean, if you can tell a story and not have to do, and I won't say have to, because if your style is not the Young Bucks or Will Ospreay style, and you can tell a story and keep the crowd. I mean, you'd be 90 years old.
Aja Kong is still working, and I'm pretty sure she's almost dead. She's terrible shape because she's almost 70, I think now. She was in, for people who have a good memory, there was a tournament a long time ago in AEW where they had the Joshis on one side and then they had the Americans on the other, and they filmed the Joshi matches this might have been during COVID, that's why. They filmed the Joshi matches overseas, and Aja Kong was one of the girls. Aja Kong's got to be almost 70. Legitimately. She's got to be 65. She'll take 2 bumps, but she can work. She knows when to be, where to be, why to be, how to sell. So she'll pair up with rookies. Give me one of the rookie. I'll beat her up for a bit, and then that rookie will look tougher in kayfabe.
Look at Mae Young and Moolah in the 90s, taking that shit from the Dudley Boys.
Well, yes, okay, so they weren't full-time workers, but yeah, I see your point. They were still taking crazy bumps for that age.
I love that. I love that story about Beret tells about Mae Young.
Farting on them or something?
No. There's a couple of Mae Young stories that I thoroughly love. They can start telling them again. I'll sit there and listen. But Bubba Ray talks about the first time he ever, had to get physical with her, and he's like, man, she's older than my grandma. And so he had to body slam her. They were going to do the what's up to her. And he said, I picked her up light as a feather and just gently placed her on the mat. He goes, man, I thought she was going to kill me in the back. He goes, she come walking up to me and, don't you ever put your goddamn hands on me again if you can't treat me like one of the fucking boys. He's like, I'm just looking at this woman like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And he's like, she cussed me out up one side and down the other. And he goes, I did what she asked the next time. He goes, I picked her up and stuck her on her ass like I would one of the boys. And, she patted me on the back and kissed me on the cheek and said, good job when we got to the back.
And you know what's funny? You know who that reminds me of? Brock Lesnar. Because I can't remember the story who he's telling it to, but I think it might have been Jericho or someone like this, but they were like, Brock's like, look, you better lay it in. You better lay it in or I'm going to kill you. And in their match, they laid it in, forearms and punches, and it looked great. But Brock apparently is one of those guys where he's like, if you don't hit me for real, I will hit you for real.
Well, it's like Jake Roberts. He didn't say it that way, but he was talking about people that didn't sell back in the day. He goes, let's just put it this way. He goes, if you didn't sell it the first time, you would sell it the second time. And Conrad said, he's like, so does that mean you potato them? He goes, I said they definitely sold it the second time. You know how Jake is when he's telling stories. He just. But the other Mae Young, the other Mae Young story I love to hear is Eric Bischoff talking about. Is they were doing that whole when him and Steve Austin were having their GM feud, whatever. And it was the 3 challenges they could do to each other or whatever at the pay-per-view. And, of course, everything's talked about in the back. And Steve, I can't remember who challenged who, it doesn't matter, but it was like one of them was going to challenge the other one to a pie eating contest. Well, cue Mae Young to come out. And when she was going to give the Bronco Buster to Eric and, in the corner. Well, of course, it's all talked about in the back. They talking over how the segment was going to go. Well, it got back to her that Eric was not too happy about having to take the Bronco Buster from Mae Young. Well, instead of getting upset about it, she sent some kid to the store to get her 2 cans of sardines. And to which she got those sardines from the way he told the story. He didn't know if she did them with duct tape or what she did, but she had on like 3 sets of panties, and the one that, like 2 over her crotch. And like, then she taped the sardines all over them and then put the other one in, put her tights on. And he goes, and they simmered for a couple of hours. Let's just say that.
The worst thing is I can actually visualize in my head. Yeah, you just take the duct tape over the legs and seal that up.
And so he goes, trust me, I never said another word about having to work with Mae Young. If I didn't like it, I just kept it to myself.
Apparently the Bronco Buster was a controversial move back in the day. A lot of people didn't want to take it.
Well, I mean, it's much better than a damn stink face.
I'll take the Bronco Buster over a lot of people's punches, actually, to be completely honest, because it might be an embarrassing move, but I'm not getting punched in the mouth. So, checks and balances or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, you never know. Somebody might come flying for the Bronco Buster and punch you in the mouth with something else going, "Are you daddy now?"
Oh, speaking of daddies, trying to get us way back on course.
Yeah, we relate. So my mind's all over the place.
Yeah, that's all right.
Get us back going. Get us back.
Okay, so I felt okay. So the TNT Championship match, Kyle Fletcher, Hiromu Takahashi. I was worried that the crowd wouldn't know who Hiromu was. They wouldn't get him as a wrestler, and I was like, "Oh, London, this is not going to be good." Hiromu came out, and it was like every person in that arena went, "Oh, I get it," and they were in. They were in for the ride. Every time Hiromu did one of his like weird little eccentricities, like he'd take a bunch of forearms and then look directly in the camera, like laughing maniacally. They popped. They loved. They ate all of it up, and I was like, yes. I was so worried that. Well, your observation is correct about some of the Japanese guys when they come over. You don't know who they are. You don't know how to read them in a way. I felt like the second Hiromu showed up, they all went, "Oh, yep, we're down. We're in for this." He's
that's like back in the day when Muta would show up. I mean, like I said, WCW did a great job.
That's a great example, actually. Yeah,
of putting Muta over in video when he'd been gone for a while. But the people that had never seen him before, it didn't take 5 minutes for them to be hooked when he got in the ring. No, it didn't matter if he was fighting Sting, Flair, whoever, whatever side of the fence he was on, and whoever he was fighting.
Yeah. As soon as you saw Muta, you went, "Oh, all right, seatbelts, here we go."
Yep.
But I was surprised that they let Hiromu do his. I don't know why they let anyone do this move. He does a sunset bomb. So someone's standing on the outside on the apron. He jumps over the ropes. He does the sunset flip. He hooks you by the hips, lands on his feet. Bam! Powerbomb onto the outside. That move can kill somebody. Like, the timing is always he lands on his feet, one Mississippi, then powerbombs you. Just so there's not that like, wha-bam! Because I swear he did it to somebody and that somebody was out for a couple months because it just nailed. But it's a good match. It's a good move 75% way into the match when you need something big. But once I saw it, I was like, oh.
It's like when Shane Helms was doing the vertebraker in WCW. And the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, sometimes you just need, well, the vertebraker, like, I think is a little bit safer than the Sunset Bomb, but I haven't taken either, so I don't want to.
Well, I mean, in theory, the tombstone, either way you do it, should be safe. But I mean, shit happens. I mean, look what Owen Hart had Steve Austin's entire head through his leg. I mean, and it wasn't intentional; just shit happens and stuff like that. And,
No, I totally get that. I think for the vertebraker, it's like when you let go of your opponent or something like that, so they can tuck and land. Anytime, you're being driven and there's nothing in between your head and the mat, like a tombstone, I'll take because your knees are in the way. Okay, in my head, I think okay, sure, but when you're being boom driven down like that, but for the Sunset Driver, it's like a wheelbarrow. Bam, smash. Like
Helms talked about it when they bought WCW, and he got there. They're like, "Yeah, we're not taking that finish."
I did hear that. Like a lot of people,
you need to change that. So,
and then if I remember correctly, in the X division, when people started bringing it back, they modified it a little, so it's a lot easier for the person who's taking the bump to kind of.
Now I saw Homicide used as the Gringo Killer, but he was the only one. Yeah. He was the only other one. Yeah, Helm started using the Shiny Wizard as his finish when he got there. Is what he went to. So.
Oh, that's a much safer move. So yeah, it's like we have the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, which I thought we're so lucky that they put Nigel and Zach together in London. I feel like if they put that match anywhere in North America, the crowd would shit on it.
No, I saw highlights of that. I mean. I was surprised that it did not. I knew Sabre was going to win. Don't get me wrong, but I told you last week, I thought that match once he invited Danny Garcia to be in his corner, I thought that it was either going to be Nigel would lose and Danny would attack him after the match to set up a feud with those two,
which makes sense if they're there, yeah.
Or he would get pissed that he wasn't the one in the ring with Sabre and cause Nigel to lose the match, and neither one of them happened. And then you saw last night. The Death Rider's trying to get in his ear, so I don't know. I don't know if he's going to wind up going heel and doing whatever. But no, I mean it was a great technical match. I mean you're not.
Yeah,
I feel a better wrestling match.
I feel like having it in London, the English people definitely leaned in. They know they grew up on World of Sport. They grew up on Big Daddy and all that stuff, like Jimmy Saint and all those guys. So I feel like. I feel like if they did that match in like Tennessee or Vermont, they would have gone. But yeah, I was actually really happy with the response and the match and the storytelling. Oh, simple, but yet still kind of vicious. Great.
It's kind of like we talked about before with Adam Cole and MJF doing the double clothesline.
Mm-hmm.
Something simple, if done right, can get over.
And that's
don't tell me it. That wouldn't work nowadays. It can. It just depends on how it's done.
So those guys used wrist locks. You don't really see them a lot. That British way of holding the wrist locks and in and out and zip zap zoom and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, this is great. I might argue that was the best match. Okay, I'm going to say personally, that was the best match of the whole show. But I can totally understand that it's a very specific style. Because the next few matches, I don't know. I don't know if my energy kind of peaked at Zach and Nigel, because the 3-way tag team match, FTR, Brodito, and the Hurt Syndicate, I was kind of wavering on that one. My energy was coming down.
Well, I guess they finally agreed on a way to get the titles off of them, because they were not, from what I read. You never know. You're not there. It's just what's put out there, but they were not in any hurry to put anybody over, and they still have not put anybody over. So,
okay, this is a sidebar because we're talking about Hurt Syndicate. I think their backstage bullying thing, again, this is just me. It's my opinion so far. I could change it next week. I think this is a work. Their bullies backstage, because someone else cut an actual on-camera promo. Ricochet cut an actual on-camera promo with the Gates of Agony about how the Hurt Syndicate kept him down and was bullying him. So part of me goes, it could be real. I'm totally open to it being real. But there's a part of me that's like, I think this is pretend. I think this is another layer of kayfabe they're trying to work us Because everybody likes Bobby and Shelton. They seem like nice guys. They seem earnest. You know, they're great vets. They're hard to hate. So how do you get to hate them? Tell them that they're bullies. You know what I mean? Like, tell them they bully new talent in the locker, and they call what's his name? Oh, what's your guy? They call him Dirk Diggler in the back, and they keep messing up his mullet. So that's just my opinion now, but I think the Shelton Bobby Lashley are bullies thing. I think that's a work. I think
that was another thing we talked about last week was they did not want to work with Dirk Diggler. They like Kevin Knight, but they did not care too much for Dirk Diggler for whatever reason that might be.
But they did a promo on TV that kind of put him over. So, you know what I mean? Like, if you really didn't like the guy, you would kind of hate putting someone over in a promo. And it's very easy not to put someone over in a promo. Very, very easy.
No, but the old school way of thinking is, if you go out there and you talk about how bad somebody sucks and you beat them, what have you really done? What have you really done?
But you can just ignore that, and you can just talk about how great I am, and not put you over as an opponent. You know what I mean? I've definitely seen it. I've definitely seen the promos, but it's like I have a feeling that they like those guys in the back, and that's why they're developing this bully story. But I could totally be wrong, and I am open to being wrong if that is the case. I don't know. It just feels
has been paid for by the New World Order.
Oh, I did notice. Speaking of that, Mercedes Moné had NWO knee pads. Like it said CEO, but it was that style, and I was like, oh, I never noticed that before.
Maybe Kevin Nash will sue her for gimmick infringement.
It's like, oh, that match. I hate it. I know what this sounds like, but that match, I didn't really get into. I'm trying to find all the women here. Monet, Bozilla, Alex Winder, and
big girl. That's a big girl.
Bozilla, yeah, she was really impressive. That match kind of brought me out of the show, but I was impressed by her. She's big and she's strong, and she had some really good spots. But for some reason, that match and the okay, I'm gonna say something that may piss everyone off. And I'm going to totally put myself out there. But the MJF Hangman Adam Page match was the worst match on the card.
That one I saw, and it still doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it was okay. So as I'm watching it, I'm thinking this is great MJF psychology. Slow it down, earn it, really kind of draw it out, because MJF's great at that old school psychology of like, let's spread it out. But it was like, you ever make mashed potatoes and you put way too much milk in it, and now it's like soupy? That's what it, like, bad analogy, but that's what it kind of felt like. Like, I know what you're trying to do. I can appreciate what you're trying to do, but geez, guys, come on, hurry it up. But they did have the main event after to psychologically deal with, because if you go hard in the Adam Page MJF match, it's going to take a while for people to have their energy for the cage match, and I feel like they wanted that energy for the cage match right away.
Well, you skipped over Okuchi and Swerve.
What do you want me to say? They're both amazing. They're the best ever.
The reason I brought that up is because that's where we saw Wardlow come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure. I know Swerve's hurt. He's going to be out for a little bit. And so by doing Wardlow with that, you gave Swerve a feud when he comes back, which is all fine and good. But
and you also give Wardlow a little bit of heat.
But it's Swerve, it's AEW, and he's, as soon as Swerve comes back, Wardlow's going to lay down, and it's. I just, like I said, it's there's so many different ways they could have brought him back to make an impact some way, somehow. I mean, you go back to the last match you're talking about, MJF and Adam Page. You could have brought him out and had him just, with the referee go down or whatever, and just had him beat the ever loving dog shit out of Adam Page. And everybody's thinking, oh man, he's back with MJF. And MJF goes to hug him, and he does the same thing to MJF.
Just lays out both world
of them.
title, like the champion and the contender at the same time.
And just and that's the kind of thing that does not, if you book him right, the kind of thing that doesn't need a great promo. Just what'd you do? What was that last night? That belt's coming to me. I'm my own man. I don't need any damn body. And just keep walking. Keep it mysterious. Where have you been? None of your damn business. You know, I mean, look how over Brock still is to this day, and how many words he's actually said on the microphone in 20 plus years.
Honestly, one of the scariest things I heard, I know this might sound odd, but I remember chatting with somebody, and there was like, oh man, you've been working out? What have you been doing? And they looked me dead in the eyes and in the most serious way went, getting better. And I went, that's kind of scary. That's how you got to get Wardlow to answer questions. Not that with that answer, but like short, serious, somewhat vague. So you still have a bit of mystery to him. Like, where have you been, Wardlow? Getting stronger. That doesn't answer anything, but it kind of sounds cool.
I mean, no, whatever words you want to put in his mouth, just make them short and make them mean something. And then you have him go out there and enforce what he said, reinforce his words.
Yeah.
But like I said, when Swerve comes back, and every time we have a draft, who's my first draft pick?
Swerve.
I just think they put Wardlow in a bad situation.
Yeah. And to tie it back into the pre-show, I think it was the pre-show. I think Powerhouse Hobbs is in the position Wardlow wants to be in. And I know that sounds weird because Hobbs is in Ring of Honor. Or no, he's not in Ring of Honor. He's the Trios champion. Sorry. He's also paired with Samoa Joe and Katsuyori Shibata. If you're going to be a rookie and you get vets given to you, that's literally the best outcome you could possibly have. Being teamed with Daddy Ass, great outcome. Being teamed with Sting, great outcome. Joe and Shibata, I think in 5 years, you know what I mean? And just like you give someone like Hobbs 5 years to develop, he could be world champ. I could see him being, bad analogy, but like our generation's Booker T. When you go back to like 90s WCW, Booker T was the fucking dude. So I think if they, grow Hobbs, he could be that position everyone sees Wardlow in, but I don't know if Wardlow is going to make it without being teamed with the right people like Joe and Shibata.
I am the wrestler. That's my gimmick.
I mean, I guess being teamed with Don Callis is not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean,
like,
they haven't done it in a while, but like he would be in the back and they would ask him a question or something, and he would bring up his phone and have the robot voice answer for him.
Oh, Shibata, yeah, he would do the translation. I do like that. And he would still like super stoic, serious face, and then he'd like crack a joke on the phone. That's good stuff.
We're not gonna lose.
But yeah, I would say Okada. I know I gave a lot of praise to Zach and Nigel, but like Swerve and Okada, what do you do? It's like, Jordan and Allen Iverson doing one-on-one. Of course it's good. What did you think it was going to be? Bad? It's never going to be bad.
Well, with what they did last night and at the pay-per-view, it's like we talked about it, and what the rumors online were when they did the whole undisputed title thing, that there was tentative plans to combine that in the world title. And they, Adam Page is in the ring last night, and Don Callis comes out talking about how he had that title in his family at one point, but that the guy that held it was the weak link, and he lost the title. And it wasn't a matter of if one of his family members was going to win it. It was a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they all come out except for Fletcher and Okada, and they're all beating up on Adam Page. And here he comes to save the day. Here comes Kenny Omega, and they hit Lance Archer with that old finish they had when they were a tag team, the buckshot lariat into the knee. But so that to me, that's setting up with what they pulled last night, Okada versus Adam Page, and I hope Okada just kills him. But that's not literally, people, in the working sense. You know,
that's for a different match altogether.
But that's, I mean, what are you going to do? So, I mean, I we've talked about it before, and what just aggravates me, and I think Tony Khan means well. I never want to sound like I'm coming across, whatever, but I know he loves his people. He loves it. That's why he does it. That's why he spends the money. As a wrestling fan, I'm grateful he gave us something else to watch. Doesn't mean I'm going to jump up and down and pat him on the ass every time something goes the wrong way. And FTR is a great example. They need a manager.
they need something. They're dead in the water right now. But all their aura is gone.
Stokely Hathaway is not it. No. And, Don Callis, when I liked him the most was back when he wasn't a manager. Now he did align himself with a couple of people, but when he came in, because Paul Heyman was having so much trouble with TNN, the network, and he brought Callis in as the liaison to the network.
Oh, Cyrus?
Yeah. Well, he was Don Callis. It was after his Cyrus gimmick, but he brought him in as Don Callis, and he was the liaison to the network. And, he'd bring a couple of the heels out here and there, but, he wasn't their manager. But that's the kind of stuff. I mean, he's a great heel commentator. He can get heat, but I just, as a manager, I don't like him. And I just think there's other people out there that could, do a better job of, getting FTR some heat. I mean, like I said, when Stokely was whatever his name was, Malcolm Bivens in NXT, I didn't like him there either. He was with Roddy Strong and whatever that little faction they had.
Now that you're saying it, it's like I'm trying to read how I feel about Don Callis as I'm listening to you, to be like, okay, let's compare and contrast. But it's like, I think you nailed it on the head. I don't really like Don Callis too much. He's good at what he does. He's great. But then it's other parts are let's get out of here. You're not really saying too much. You're just filling TV time with your promos. I don't know. I can totally get where you're coming from, where it's
I mean, honestly, I think I'm remembering the name right, but the guy they brought in with America's Top Team, Dan Lambert, I believe was his name.
Yeah, he had a couple good promos, but then he started.
I thought he did a great job.
I feel like he started going to, from what I remember, he started doing too many this generation's weak, this generation's pansies, and everyone went, done. We're done with you. No. Because he had great heel promos because he has so much expertise in wrestling that he can make fun of a fan for not knowing. And that's so hard because most people don't care if you know something that they don't. But he did great promos in TNA where he'd pull out these old belts. Do you know who had this one? It was Hawk because there's a chip in it. Great heel promos. But after a while, he just started turning into millennials are bad. And it was nah, we're done. We're done. I think that was about the time that he was teaming with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page.
I think that was toward the end.
Yeah, and that's when they sort of died out because they got rid of him. And
Cody, on a different subway, it's kind of the same, kind of different. But Cody's coming out and finally starting to say more about his exit from AEW. I forgot who he was sitting down with the other day, but he's like, he goes, even today, he said, if I'm disrespected here, he said, I'm a cog on the wheel. He said, this place was here way before I was thought about, and it'll be here way after I'm gone. He said, but he said, me and my friends started that. Now, he was like, but now, could we have done it without the backing and support? No, we couldn't have. He goes, but it was our idea. He goes, we wanted to do something and give the fans something different. He goes, so something that I helped create I'll be damned if you're going to disrespect me and my wife there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, he goes, is there some heat? He goes, yeah, there's some heat. He said, but there's still a lot of love for some of those people there too. He said, but again, if I get disrespected here, he goes, which I have not, don't put words in my mouth. He goes, did I feel disrespected my first time around by some people? Yeah, I did, or I wouldn't have left. He said, but this time around, everything's been great. He said, but if I get disrespected here, so be it. It's just going to roll off my shoulder. I did not create this place.
Yeah, it's a machine. You're one of the cogs that's going to be replaced.
He said, but something that I helped create and that I'm busting my ass working besides not just the ring, but other stuff to make this company succeed. And you're going to disrespect me here? No, that's not happening.
I think a lot of people forget the amount of work let's say the starting 4 guys did. I know Adam Page was there, but he wasn't really the Adam Page he is now. So it was like Cody, Kenny, and the Bucks, who were like the main core of this all in. There was like Marty Scurll was there. He got canceled. There was other people there, but those were like the main 4. Now then you get, AEW wouldn't be where it is without its first follower. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the psychological way of Chris Jericho, John Moxley. You know what I mean? Though, but without Cody's name, without Kenny's name, like I know the Bucks were hot, super hot, but they were not anywhere near the amount you needed to fill up those arenas.
Well, yeah, see, and my opinion on that has always been, because when AEW came along, that was a time that, NXT had Vince and Bruce Pritchard had taken over NXT, and it was not what it used to be, and turned it into the damn rainbow colors, whatever they did to it. And then you had, the Bucks and Kenny.
Okay. It sounds bad when you say it like that, but black and gold era NXT was.
Well, Triple H has said it in not so many words before that, he was looking at how hot Ring of Honor and some of the other indie promotions were doing. And he said to himself, and he went to Vince, he goes, we've got the production to do, I can outdo them. Just let me go get the stars that I want to bring in here to do it. And I'm going to outdo them. And of course he did. And they were outdoing the main roster too. So, but they, without Cody brought in, to me, you had Cody for the casual fans. And then you had the Bucks and Kenny that was bringing in that hot indie fan, the one that was just, that watched all the, all the little stuff where they would appear. I thought Cody had a great match with Nick Aldis both times, when he won the title and then when he lost it back. So, I think they all played an equal part, so.
Well, and one of the original things they were saying was when the Bucks and Kenny were pitching this is, they had just spent 4 or 5 years in New Japan. So they were going to say, this is where New Japan meets WWE and we can make our own style. And I went, oh, because I'm big into the New Japan style. The logic of their booking just sits right with me. And then you go over to AEW and at the beginning, you're like, oh, I could see this. Yeah. After a while, I was like, no, okay, this is just American wrestling.
Well, you talk about Jericho too. There's a couple of things with that, and I've heard him say on several occasions that he just, when his contract was up with WWE, it wasn't that he wanted to take a break, but there was a couple of matches, Kenny Omega, that he wanted to have. And
I think he wrestled Tetsuya Naito as well during that little gap where he only worked Tokyo Dome for like 2 years.
And that's what he, that's what he told him he wanted to do. He wanted to take a break and wrestle some matches that he knew they would not allow him to do. And, he planned on coming back. And, Tony took out the checkbook and brought in Jericho, which I think was a smart move. Was it smart on Jericho's part? Maybe, maybe not. Depending, that's one of those matter of opinion things. Some people agree.
No, I can totally see it. I would say it was the right choice for Jericho. It was the right choice for Moxley. Again, personal opinion, but I'm going to say that was the right choice for them because in the history books, in 30 years, they can go, well, Chris Jericho went back to WWE and became a cog in a machine, or Chris Jericho became the man. Because at the original AEW, Chris Jericho was their S-class guy.
Yeah.
That was one of the only guys they had at that level.
And rumor has it that his contract is up in December, and he's highly considering going back to finish up his career.
I can totally believe that he feels that way, but I have a bit of skepticism when it comes to online rumors, when it comes to people returning to WWE. I don't know. I have some skepticism because it seems like Wardlow's going to WWE. It's like,
Well, no, I mean that's just speculation.
I know.
Every time somebody's contract's up, whether it's one company or the other, if they're in one, the speculation is going to be they're going to the other one. So,
and honestly, a lot of people just default to WWE. They're just the default wrestling. So if anybody's going anywhere, they're going to, because that's the default. Even training, they said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, if I could be the Ring of Honor, I'd be happy." And they're like, "Well, you don't want to go to WWE?" And I was like, "Is that the only goal in wrestling?"
Speaking of getting things over online or in the internet wrestling community, however you want to word it, that big swell that Karrion Kross has gotten, and so
yes, this is a very interesting topic.
I liked him since I saw him as Killer Kross in NXT, but in TNA. When he was Killer Kross in TNA, I liked him there. He was doing the whole TikTok and everything. I'm like, well, this dude's got something. And I watched him, and then he came in, and they did a real good job with him in NXT, putting him over. And then they just shit the bed with him when he got to roll. Well, Vince shit the bed with him when he got to roll, and put him in the old Demolition BDSM gear.
And, they didn't know what to do with so this is an interesting thing I found out, that he's been let go, right? I'm using finger quotes for the moment.
His contract expired.
He's not with WWE. He puts out a video talking about WWE and how he's let go of WWE, and he shows up to companies that are WWE
affiliated. Yep. Well, and here's the thing too. One of the things he said,
I'm gonna put my thinking cap on real quick and go.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. We're on the same page with that one. One of the interviews he did in the past few weeks, somebody that as much swell as you've gotten lately, they really didn't offer you a new contract. He goes, no, they offered me one. And he kind of looked at him. He said, what do you mean? He goes, they offered me one. They didn't offer her anything because she was right there with him. And he goes, we're a package deal. They know that. And he goes, when I brought it up, I'm like, okay, well, what about Scarlett? And they're like, well, we're going to get you done first, and then we'll deal with her. He's like, that's not the way we do things. And
it's such a flimsy line to say too.
And he was like, I just tell you, he goes, well, I told him that's not the way we do things. We're a package deal. And so, thinking about it all, I was like, I kept, that's one of the things what I was doing Sunday was like, when I knew what was going on and I wasn't home, I kept flipping through TikTok to see if he popped up at Forbidden Door, because again, he's got this big swell, and the crowd went batshit crazy.
That would have been hot. This guy comes out.
If he
goes to AEW just from WWE, oh my God.
And the amount of money that Tony would offer him would not be money that him and his wife are going to turn down.
Just do the old Lex Luger, have him walk out, go,
yep,
and turn around and walk away. The crowd would freak out.
If he has not made his return to WWE by the time All Out happens, if he does not show up at All Out, that's going to tell me he's still under contract with WWE.
I believe he's feuding. Now, I could have gotten this wrong. I believe he's feuding with Matt Cardona.
Yeah, he did. That was
Matt Cardona is like the WWE guy. You know what I mean? Like
Mr. Chelsea Green.
Oh, can I just sidebar for a second? Chelsea Green.
I do it all the time. Go ahead.
Okay, so there was a video of her eating like breakfast or something, and she's wearing a WrestleMania 2000 shirt, and he does the old name a song off the album, name one song, and I loved it. He's like, name one match that was on WrestleMania 2000, and she just looks at him and goes, I don't care, I don't know, and I don't care. And I was like, that's so refreshing. She's like, I don't give a shit who worked on WrestleMania, who worked on Mania 2000. What was this, like 100 years ago? And I was like, I don't know if this is her working, but I find that so refreshing that a lot of people in wrestling want to know everything, and she's just like,
I don't know who was there, but I can tell you who wasn't. Me. Fuck off.
And it was like 30 years ago. But she had I don't see a lot of her currently, but seeing that, I was like, I like this girl.
Well, it's like, she does great. She's over with the fans, but the two that they got with her, they got Alba Fire and Piper Niven with her. And I'm just like, why are these two still collecting a paycheck?
Yeah, I've seen Piper Niven and I like her look, but then it's like no one can tell me anything.
You like her look? What?
Isn't she a ginger?
No, that's Alba Fire. And Alba Fire's Piper Niven looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Woman.
Yeah, she's a big girl. Yeah.
And but Alba Fire, I like the other one, the one they actually released that made her AEW debut Saturday night, Isla Dawn. She come out and I'm like, oh, she's coming out first. Don't job her out the first night. And here come Megan Bain. I'm like, yep, they're jobbing her out the first night. Okay. But Alba Fire is the one that's got I don't know if she's a real redhead or not, but the way she's got her hair dyed, it's that fake looking red. So
the Jody Threat color red, that really flamboyant.
I know she held that NXT UK women's title for a long time. She was the one that lost to Mandy Rose when they unified all those titles. And but for some of the people that aren't there anymore and those two to still have a job, it's just like, ugh.
I can appreciate a big girl. Like, I know that sounds weird saying it, but in wrestling, we get very used to, especially with the women, a certain body type and a certain aesthetic.
It has nothing to do with body type.
I don't know. When I see her, I go, oh.
Kind of yes, kind of no. But here's the thing. I'm not jumping on her because she's a big girl.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just coming from my perspective. Yeah.
I've told you before, the next live event that I go to, if Nia Jax is working, they might take my sign because I would jump on and see how long I could stay on that big bitch. But, Piper Niven, Nia's at least, she's big, but at least she's.
I don't know her work, though. I'm only going off of, I saw a couple pictures of her. You know what I mean?
Well, Nia's proportional. You know what I mean? And
Nia's an islander.
Well, she's proportional.
They're all big. What do you want?
She's big all over,
No, I got you. Yeah.
And then, you got Piper Niven, who's, 3 foot tall and 5 foot wide.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Nia's got more of a
an
islander build, a big
some of the outfits they put her in too is like, dear God, girl, can't you speak up and say, do you see what this makes me look like?
And that I totally get behind because Aja Kong wrestled in a singlet with big baggy pants on, and she's a legend. You know what I mean? She's a bigger girl, but it's you don't always have to have the fishnets, and you know what I mean?
It has nothing to do with that. Me personally, I sitting there watching some of them, and she hadn't been on TV lately, with the way Rhea dresses and everything. I'm sure she probably has her kinks and whatnot, but Liv Morgan, if you just watch her facials and the way she carries herself, that she's a downright freak, and I'm all about it. Come on, girl, let's go. Like I said, I'm sure Rhea wouldn't be boring, but
we're gonna break some laws today.
Well, like I say, everybody looks at Rhea and just thinks automatically she's going to be down for whatever. Like I said, I'm sure it wouldn't be boring, and I'm sure she got her kinks. But Liv Morgan, just the way she carries herself, that's a freak right there.
It's Rhea is Australian, right? And their philosophy. You can't rattle an Australian. They're cool as cucumbers, baby. Very good under stress, very good in the moment. I find some of the Aussies, you can't shake them. You can't.
I don't care if I come out sounding like this. Just give me that freak on.
Oh, hold on. Let's pull this back because I just looked at the final match on Forbidden Door and I thought, did you saw clips of the lights out steel cage?
Yeah, but it really kind of warms my heart that we go from Liv Morgan to you riding right back into the Forbidden Door. That's a great segue there, sir.
Wordplay.
We are professionals. Do not try this at home.
Because I was going to say, did you manage to see some of the more...
I saw some of it, and I saw the way they wrote Will Ospreay off TV. So
brilliant. Did you see the fork in the ear?
Yeah.
That was this... Yo, people were really mad about that spot, and so I was watching it. He doesn't really do anything to his ear with that fork. You could see him just pushing it against his ear for the most part. His ear was pissing blood the whole match. Well, so I think he just grabbed the ear and went like this. with the fork, and everyone went.
Well, if you remember back when Randy Orton kind of did the same thing to Jeff Hardy, but it wasn't a fork, but he pulled the gauge out.
Yeah,
He like took something in there and stuck it in the hole and was twisting it around, but he wasn't hurting him, so
there's like it's all rubbery down there anyway, but it's a great visual.
Where him and was it Claudio that him and Claudio that fell off through the table, or
it was him and Gabe Kidd?
Yeah,
Gabe Kidd landed first, and Darby landed on top of him, and everybody ran to Gabe Kidd.
Yeah, that was the spot. That was
to like grab the hand,
Yeah, that was the spot that I went, ooh.
That's a bad spot.
But
they should have had the tables a little further. Oh well, hindsight 2020. But hopefully Gabe's okay. I know he was just coming out of an injury. We can sort of go into that because Gabe was injured in the G1, took a lot of time off, had this match. So I don't know if he's also still hurt. On top of Swerve, on top of Will, like there's some big name talent leaving the company, and there's also some big name talent coming back to the company too.
Well, we're talking about contracts, and I'm kind of curious as to I have to look up the All Out date because something to do with rumors about Copeland's contract being up in September, like toward the end of September, and him saying that the last time when he signed his contract, that was going to be his last wrestling contract. And, but then with Cena being on his retirement tour, I can completely see him going back and working a match with Cena before Cena retires, if his contract is up, literally up in September. But it's like we were talking about it last week where I said, I said, damn, if his contract's up, they're going to have to really fast track this stuff with him and Christian. I think All Out, let's see. We got the Clash in Paris coming up this week, and
September 20th.
So, they could literally, if they want to do that and, write him off, if his contract's legit up September 25th, which was the day I heard, that's a way for FTR to, do whatever they're going to do to him and get rid of him.
All Out is 5 days before that. That'd be a perfect send off.
And again, you don't know if it's true or not.
And we never know what this is one of my new pet peeves when it comes to American kayfabe. Yeah, you have no idea what's real because they're constantly trying to work the crowd, trying to work the fans. And it's like, can you just tell us for real? Like Tom Cruise isn't going around going, oh, am I going to be in this movie? And I'm going to be in. No, he goes, I'm in this movie. So I would appreciate some clarity when it comes to some of these topics. Cause there's a lot of like, I'm working, brother.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't really, it's on Peacock. If I'm home, I'll watch it. I'm not going to take time out of my day to make sure I'm on the couch for Clash in Paris this coming weekend. But, and you don't have to be a WWE fan. I know everybody that watches wrestling has either watched some or still watches some, whether you watch more, I don't care what you watch, but go back Friday night and just watch John Cena obliterate Logan Paul on the microphone. It warmed my heart. It warmed my heart. I was like, there's the old John Cena we know and love.
I think there's a lot of people around the world that can appreciate a good Logan Paul tongue lashing, no matter wrestling fan or WWE fan, not a fan. Logan Paul's easy to hate.
There's been moments over the years it's been great with Cena, especially when he was doing the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick, and he would have the crowd finish off the cuss word that he couldn't say. But then there was when Roman was starting to ascend and Roman lost his place, and Cena was like, Cena's so great on the fly. He always has been, and he's like, come on, kid, try to remember what you were going to say. It's a promo. You got to learn how to do it if you want to take my spot. I'm like, oh shit.
And that does two things. Three things. One, it fires Roman up to be like, you got to be serious. Two, it makes Cena look good because he's the confident one. Look out. But three, it covers that bit of time where Roman should be talking and he isn't. And you can't let that silence stretch. So John's good enough to cut that silence off. You know what I mean? Interject. That'll give Roman time.
It was somebody talking the other day, and it was actually last week before the Logan Paul promo, but they were talking about Cena and somebody, I wish I remember who the hell it was. I hear so much of that crap sometimes, but they're like, how is John backstage? We hear how nice a guy he is, and you'll have certain people say he tried to bury him or he did bury him. Who is John Cena backstage? And they just kind of grinned and went, John is a giver. He said, John gives back to the business. However, John's going to make you earn it and show him you want it. He said, if John comes at you and you can't come back, he goes, that's on you, not John. John's trying to get you over.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people think John's trying to bury him and they lose their train of thought, lose whatever they're going to say, instead of being like John on the fly and basically coming back and telling you to fuck off in a way you can say it on TV, they freeze up. He said, John's going to give everything he can to you. He's understood for a long time that he wasn't going to be around forever, but he wants the company to succeed. And he's like, but he's going to make you earn it. And he goes, and if you can't step up, he don't care. That's on you, not him. He tried.
I feel like Brock's a similar way because I hear stories about Brock being kind of an asshole to deal with. But then you hear like, oh, Brock loves certain people. Like from what I heard, Brock really wanted to put over Finn Balor because the story that I heard is, oh, who's this guy in the gym? Oh, that's Finn. Oh, okay. Well, who's this guy in the gym again today? Oh, Finn. Oh, he's here again. He's here again. He's here again. I like this guy because he's always in the gym and he's always working and he's always getting better. So if I remember correctly, they had a bond because they were always in the gym. And he's like, this guy, I want to put him over because he gets it. You know what I mean? So when Brock doesn't like you, you will get nasty Brock. But when Brock likes you, sort of like you're saying with John, he will make you. Made Finn Balor look like $1 million.
Well, it's like, I'm still not a big Goldberg fan, but one of the things that softened me on Goldberg just a little bit, because I was a huge Midnight Express fan. And there was a story that was told about when they went to Alabama, and that's where Bobby Eaton was from, Alabama. He was on his ascend. He was on his ascend win streak. And, he would be the first to tell you he wasn't a huge wrestling fan growing up, or why he was, that he always wanted to be a football player. But he knew who Bobby Eaton was. He knew Bobby was a legend, and, kind of looked at Bobby. Bobby was one of the people he looked to ask questions and this, that, and the other. Because Bobby, by this time, the Midnight Express was long gone, and Bobby's just kind of open to maybe mid card, depending on where they were. And he drew Bobby that night. He wanted to put Bobby over, and basically he said, Bischoff looked at him and said, "Are you stupid?" He's like, "No, man, this is his home. This is his home. Let me go out there and put him over." He goes, "I'm gonna ask you again. Are you fucking stupid? What is wrong with you? We got you on an undefeated streak." He goes, "Well, it's not televised." He goes, "You think people won't talk about it?" And right after that story got told, I was listening to one of Cornette's podcasts, and his co-host brought it up. He's like, "I got to know if this is for real or not, Jim. Did Bobby ever talk to you about that?" He started laughing. He said, "Yeah, that was true. Bill wanted to put him over." And he goes, "Bobby had to be the voice of reason and go, man, I appreciate you, but it's okay. Come on. I got you. Come on." And he's like, "You sure?" He's like, yeah, Bill, come on. We're good.
I think there's a few people that everybody has in their hearts that's like, if I ever wrestled Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I'd go, "You're going over, brother, because you're the Hacksaw. You're the greatest. You're the best ever." And Hacksaw's going to go, "I'm 76 years old. I cannot win."
Well, to me, and I mean, some people still like it, and because of who it is, they'll, especially being WWF. I didn't like the way that they. Actually, I can't say it. I didn't like. Once they started doing the storyline, I was not. I didn't hate it as bad as I thought I would, which was the Flair retirement story. Then
I'm sorry, I love you, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, when Vince told him, come out there and told him he was too old to still be wrestling, and the next time he lost a match, he had to retire.
And then he still wrestled for like another 10 years.
Well, he took a couple of years off. You know why he did. You know why he left WWF, don't you? After that, because when he lost that match to Michaels, they gave him that Titus O'Neil job, that ambassador job.
Yeah.
and they were paying
Titus
him.
is great at, by the way.
Yeah, and he said they were paying him $250,000 a year with the understanding that even though he was under contract with them, that he could still go make appearances other places. That was the deal they had in place. And there was
Cons and signings and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
and he was going into the NWA Hall of Fame, and they were going to, the promoter had spent a lot of money advertising him and this, that, and the other. And 2 days before the event, they pulled him. Wasn't for as many times as he's pulled himself, they pulled him, and it made him mad. And he asked for his release, and he was like, "Look, I know a lot of people would love to make $250,000 a year. I'm not down in that kind of money." He said, "But I can make twice that. Just going around, a couple, 2 to 3 weekends a month, and not having to worry about flying here and flying there. I can do that in the States." And he goes, he was mad. He said, "You got these little small time promoters like that are spending, good money that they can't afford not to get a return on their investment."
Yep.
And he goes, "They pulled me at the last minute." He goes, "It was bullshit." So I told him, "No, I'm done."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back to the story. I Flair being at his age, Michael still being at the peak, and them knowing the play in the relationship that they had, that Michael's looked up to him, showing the picture. I've got the magazine that Michael was holding when he was younger, a Flair with the suit holding the NWA World Title. It's actually hanging up in here somewhere. But it's I like the way they did it, and Michael's really not, just showing he didn't want to retire his idol, his boyhood.
Yeah.
His boyhood hero. I thought it was done real well. So
it's like when you're the one that has to put down your dog. Like, I know this.
When Flair pissed him off and he cut that old Yeller promo. There was some tense moments. I just like the way, that was one of the few that I like the way it was done all the way through.
But Flair put him over, and that was already as he was coasting down in his career. So it's like,
well, and the thing that made me mad with Flair was, look at all the people that's retired since, the Undertaker for a main example, but when they brought him out, he went in the Hall of Fame that weekend, and solo before he went back in with the Horsemen, but he went in the Hall of Fame. They had offered him the main event spot, and he turned it down. The way they wanted the way the match was pitched was he would lose, of course. He was going to take off his boots, put them in the ring, and the way the show was going to go off was them, zooming in on his boots, and then it would just kind of fade out.
I remember this because they held on it for a while.
And he told him no. He said that he didn't have the title. Shawn didn't have the title. That the title needed to be, focused and last. But he appreciated it. And then they did that huge thing for him on Monday Night Raw. That went on for an hour after the damn TV went off, where they brought Harley in, they brought Steamboat in, they brought the Horsemen in. Batista showed up. All these different people coming out there, and like I said, I don't care if he went to TNA and maybe managed or something, took some bumps as a manager, but they haven't done that for anybody since.
He went right to TNA and started doing bloodbaths with Mick Foley. What the hell is going on?
Like I said, they didn't do that. They didn't do that for anybody before, and they didn't do it for anybody after. So I think
they saw what they had done for Rick, and then what Rick had done after, and they went, "What's the point?"
Well,
unless you're Bobby Heenan, who's obviously on his way out because Heenan was very ill later in his life. You could put him to the moon because everybody loves Bobby Heenan, but we all know he's not going to another company. You know what I mean? At a certain point. But I guess that's what they thought about Rick at the time, right? Like, you looked at him and went,
well, yeah, he was going to.
Especially don't have 10 years left.
Well, but he was supposed to, it was all said and done. Contracts had been signed for him to go into that ambassador role, and and that just did not pan out.
I think that's probably best that he didn't go into that role because of some of the stories that have come out about Ric Flair. It's like, I think Titus O'Neil's great in that position because Titus O'Neil doesn't have any stories like that. As far as I know, Titus O'Neil's a stand-up guy, and he's always been.
Unless it's going into the 50-man Royal Rumble in Saudi, then he does a little slide.
But they say never meet your heroes, and it's really hard to meet a hero that you can meet. Oddly enough, that's Titus O'Neil. It's not Ric Flair.
But have you heard how is Ospreay? I mean, I know he's hurt. I mean, is he legit having neck surgery out for a year?
Yeah, from the report I read, it's 12 to 13 months. He basically has what every major wrestler had, what Kurt Angle had, what Edge had, what I don't know the specifics. I know it's like generally it's a very severe neck injury. Will Ospreay in that match, the cage match, he did very little. And they gave him like 2 pile drivers, which were very safe. No one's ever gotten hurt with Gabe Kidd's pile drivers, but he just sold the crap out of the neck. You could see him and hold it. Great stuff. But as far as I know, he's out for good.
And something that wasn't great was they gave Wheeler Useless a microphone last night, so I got up and walked away from that.
I pull the trigger on this guy.
I kept hearing it. I'm like, and then I saw the Danny Garcia stuff. I'm like, yes, replace that one with that one. I'll be okay with that.
I don't mind Wheeler. I hate him in the Death Riders because he's just their lackey. That's it. He's not.
I mean, even if they get him away from him, what are they going to do with him? I mean, he's not over. You know, he's
honestly
he's okay in the ring, but I mean, he's not entertaining.
I think he's a phenomenal. Not phenomenal is a strong word. I think he's a very strong wrestler. What they're doing with him is not to his strong sides. I swear, I want to like convince myself, but it's like I swear I've seen him in matches in New Japan Strong when he was super young, and they structured a nice small match, and he was great. He's a decent worker, but
speaking of smaller guys, where is Orange Juice been?
He's been injured. So as far as I remember, he's coming back in the next month or so. But I think you push him to the moon because he's already ready for that spot.
Well, what I was going to say is Wheeler Yuta is in a much better spot to me than say a Josh Alexander, because Josh is a veteran, and I think they kind of ruined him from the get go, and it's just getting worse in my opinion. But Wheeler is still young enough that you can reset and then start ascending him. You know, have the Death Riders beat him up, kick him out of the group, and then watch his ascension, his willpower to come back and avenge what happened to him.
And it's all built in. You have a rookie with Mox and Claudio. Those are great veterans to put anyone with. As soon as they split up, now Yuta can fight Claudio to get the chance to fight Mox. The logic's built in. It's great, but God, can he just pull the trigger on the kid?
Yeah,
I feel like he's got something. He's got some meat on the bone, but they don't want any of whatever he has.
I mean, it worked out for him years ago, but when Crockett came to the Horsemen and said he was turning Luger babyface away from him, they told him no. They said not yet. You know, we still got some things to teach this kid. You know, he's yes, he looks like $1 million, and he can come out and he can pose, he can body slam. He's still green as grass. We got some work to do here. And Crockett was like, no, we got to find our Hulk Hogan. But I mean, it worked out for the Horsemen, because to me, the best assembly of the 4 of them was with Barry Windham. In my opinion, I liked Ole Anderson. I like the Andersons as a tag team but I think as far as a stronger stable, it was Windham. But of course, I'm always going to be to the original. But Luger to me did not fit. Barry fit just like the piece of the puzzle that had been missing since Ole left. But all right, we've been talking about all this older stuff, so let's go to
today in pro wrestling history.
What we got today? Let's see. 8 years ago,
Alexa Bliss defeated Sasha Banks
to regain the Raw Women's title in Memphis, Tennessee. Mr. Fuji passed away on this day 7 years ago.
Mr. Fuji's always around my childhood. Wasn't he in WCW? He'd pop up in...
Oh, yeah. He was, not WCW. No, he was in the Mid-Atlantic NWA territory. He was never in it once Turner bought it. Jody Hamilton, best known as the Assassin, would have been 87 years old today. 25 years ago tonight, from Las Cruces, New Mexico, Kevin Nash defeated Booker T to become the WCW World Champion. And then 31 years ago, that same Kevin Nash, then known as Diesel, along with Shawn Michaels, defeated the Head Shrinkers, who were better known in a better gimmick as the Samoan SWAT team, to win the WWF Tag Team titles.
Was that Rikishi?
Huh? No. Well, yes, I'm sorry. It was Samu and Fatu, and it was Rikishi and
but like 50, yeah, because they were at Mania 9 too.
Yep. 36 years ago was the second annual SummerSlam live from the Meadowlands. 39 years ago, 74,000 fans attended the big event in Toronto. In the main event, Hulk Hogan beat Paul Orndorff. And 39 years ago today, a rare trip out west for Crockett Promotions saw Wahoo McDaniel, still the best chop in the business that I've ever seen, defeated Tully Blanchard to win the national heavyweight title. Miranda Gordy is 36 today. That's the daughter of Terry Bam Bam Gordy of the fabulous Freebird fame, if you don't know. Colby Carino turns 29 today. 30 years ago, the tournament was held to crown new USWA Tag Team champions. The previous champions, the Heavenly Bodies, had vacated after a match with PG-13, which was JC Ice and Wolfie D. And they
Great name.
Huh?
I love the name PG-13. It's silly, but it's kind of fun at the same time.
Cowboy Lang was born on this day in 1950. You know who Cowboy Lang was?
Nope.
He was a tiny person wrestler.
Oh, crap.
And then 16 years ago tonight, the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk defeated Jeff Hardy in a steel cage match with loser leaving the WWE. Hardy lost and would go on to join TNA.
I was just about to ask, did they actually leave WWE?
And that is
Today in pro wrestling history.
You're having too much fun with that. We got to tone that down. Take it away.
I got to send you one so we can go back and forth
like this all night long. We can argue. See who does the better. I'm CEO.
What the hell she sounds like to me.
So odd observation, but did Mercedes Moné lose the New Japan Strong Women's belt? Do you remember if she did or not?
Excuse me. She did, but it was a four-way match. I forgot who won the match.
Okay, the reason I brought it up was they got rid of all those belts not too long ago, and I was like, she still carrying?
Yeah, she lost. I forgot who won, but it was a four-way match, kind of like the one at for the TBS title, and she did not, get pinned or submitted. Somebody else did, but
they eliminated those titles. Strong was supposed to be their like US expansion. It didn't really do too well, and so they're like, well, all right, well, let's take all these belts back. And Monet's like, no, I want this one.
I want to keep it.
I did like her entrance in London where she gets she had rows of those guards, each with a belt. It's like, I like that. I think that looks cool.
Well, another thing too is, she reminds me of, not the right word, but it's kind of like what they're, and they haven't put 9 belts on him yet, but Miro Rusev, whatever you want to call him, man, if you watch him, man, he is putting forth effort. I mean, he's doing the monster stuff, he's working hard. He's laying in his stuff. The matches with him and Sheamus have been rough, and the crowd just don't care. And they are, he's working hard. They're giving him a good push, and nobody cares. And there are certain places they go that the people are into Mercedes, but there's not a lot.
Yeah, Mercedes is definitely what's the word you would use where it's like you either like Mercedes, like she's okay, or you despise everything about Mercedes. She's a very oh man, I don't know why I'm spacing on the word, but yeah, it's not like a lover or hater, because I think she's okay. She's not phenomenal. She's not the best. But there are people who are mad at her existence.
The stuff that I've seen with her on TV, and then of course I'm not there to see or hear some of the stuff, but the stuff that you hear about her in the back, she just comes across because where she's, she's Snoop's niece, just very entitled. And I just,
To be fair,
lot
she
of
has
people,
all
they-
the
they-
cards in her hand
well, yeah, she
to use
does.
that
You know,
expression.
like,
So
you know,
I power to her, right? Like,
like a lot of people, you won't hear a lot of people talking about it because you don't like it, but a lot of people talk about how giving and how nice Logan Paul really is, but he keeps that image for his YouTube stuff, the TV, and all that. But they said, he's not entitled. Him and Jake worked their ass off coming from nothing to get to where they are, and she just, like I said, she just comes in with that. I'm
the boss.
Well, no,
It kind of works for her character too, because it's like a step above. You know what I mean? No one should be a step above. That's kind of goes against the whole point of The Boys. Everyone changes together. But yeah, when you have someone who's like, I'm going to change by myself.
Well, she did an interview that I saw a couple weeks back too, and somebody was asking her about, did she want to go back to the WWE when, not now, not at this moment in time, but before she came to AEW, did she want to fix things with WWE and go back? And she said no, she wanted as far away from it as she could possibly get because she wanted away from the Sasha Banks name. She wanted away from the boss. She wanted to be, she wanted to become the CEO and level up. And I'm sitting there listening to her going, you are so full of shit. If they had called you back, the reason they rehired Naomi was two reasons. First off, I do believe they know that if it hadn't been from Mercedes, Naomi wouldn't have walked out.
Mhm.
And so there's that. And then of course she's, married to Jimmy, who was at the time when they brought her back, part of the hottest thing they had in the bloodline. And Roman's probably going, man, give her another shot. I mean, so yeah, I mean, maybe that didn't happen. Maybe it did, but I do believe the other part.
I could see it. I could see it happening. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and they could have they probably would have said, you realize if she hadn't been sitting next to Sasha, she wouldn't have got up and walked out. That was kind of all right, girl, I got your back. You're my tag team partner. I got your back. But you hear a lot of great things. Everybody's always praised Naomi for her work ethic and, just what a great person she is to be around. And not a lot of people have good things to say about Mercedes Moné. I mean, and it's like, so I don't know. I mean, I just like I said, it's not that I love her or I hate her. I just don't care. And to me, that's worse in the wrestling business than hating somebody.
I can totally see that because when she was feuding with, like her feud with Tony Storm, I'm loving everything that Tony Storm's doing in the feud. But then as soon as Monet comes out, I'm like,
and that's one of those situations where it's been like the ECW arena years ago. If Cena wins, we riot. I think if she'd have been, I think if she'd have beat Tony Storm that night, they might have had a problem.
Yeah, it was time for Tony. Like she's been doing everything amazing. Like you can't punish people for being amazing.
And I will say though, I was kind of surprised that Athena did not win. I thought it was time, finally time for, because they've made Tony look like $1 million, and she's great on the mic. She's, she can get that reaction she gets with or without the belt, and like we've talked about Athena before being off. She's been on TV more in the past 3 months than she'd been on there in 3 years. And I don't know if that's her call, his call, a combination. You don't know, but I think Athena's great, and I thought they were going to finally, all right, let's bring her, let's elevate her, and it didn't happen. So I don't know.
Yeah, Athena's in a weird sort of pocket where she gets attention, but it's not the right kind of attention, or it's not enough. Because I remember her and Jody Threat had a match on Dark, I want to say, a couple years ago, and it broke the internet. Like these two women went out and had a vicious brawling match, and everyone went crazy. Was it a shoot? Was it a work? Blah, blah, blah. But neither girl was able to turn that into something. You know what I mean? They had all this hype, and then it was just they let the dust settle. And so it's like, how do you know what I mean? Like if you get all this attention from a match, how do you keep that going? Because I felt like Tony's like, whatever, moving on.
Well, and for those of you out there that was listening to us last week, Paul has not sent me any clips to post anywhere yet. So, I'm still waiting, for Canada's greatest export to send me a little sample size.
I know I need to get better at the whole social media, and videos and all that.
You need to do better.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better, but unfortunately, the non-physical side still bugs me a bit.
So, are you sore today? I mean, did you do 500 squats today, or was that yesterday?
I'm still sore from like last week. I can feel the body like developing. You know what I mean? That you ever have an ache that starts in one place and then at the end of the week it's down the arm? I've had a couple of those, spine kind of down the shoulder. So I'm doing about 300 squats, 100 push-ups a day, just fighting through the aches and pains, trying to keep it going. But
when you start getting older and you tear a quad just by sleeping?
Well, I'm gonna be 40 in a year, so I do have my moments where I wake up and all of a sudden I turn my head like Batman does. So it's like, oh hey guys, what's going on? There's no, articulation in the neck. Sometimes you wake up and this is all you get.
Well, see, that's good for you though. You're approaching wrestler's prime, so we should see you on a TV screen at any time. So,
well, my next match I'll probably be posted on the socials, and we can link it onto our socials too, and everyone can boo me from afar.
Well, again, if they're booing you, you're doing something right.
That's true. They're not turning their backs and sitting like this.
It's like, like back in the day that when Vicky Guerrero would walk out and the crowd just did what they did with her. And if somebody's standing going, why do they keep having that girl on TV? I'm like, do you not hear the reaction she's getting right now?
She literally has to do nothing.
I said, oh, yeah, that's what
nothing.
I said. All she had to do was say 2 words and that building lit up. I said, do you know how many people in the back wish they got that kind of flipping heat when they come out of the curtain?
You know how many times I love this. I love seeing this where she'd raise the microphone to her mouth and the boos would get louder, and then she'd lower it and they'd get quieter. And then she'd raise it and it'd get louder, and she'd work it for a bit and then do her catchphrase. It would work everyone up. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, God rest Eddie's soul, but I think he had told a few people about her doing that too, kind of raise it up and put it back down. And then
Dom was doing that recently when they were booing him. He'd like, and he'd work it, and yeah.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much stuff you listen to, but every time I hear somebody doing an interview, at some point his name gets brought up, and they just are so high on him, talking about what a sponge he is, what a good kid he is, and it's like he's so completely different from what they have him as on TV, and just how much he actually gets it. And so,
he's one of those guys that if you're outside of the WWE bubble, you don't necessarily hear a lot about what's going on in the WWE bubble because it's, you're just in a different community. Everyone talks about Dom. Everyone talks about Dom. Japanese fans that only watch Japanese stuff go, hey, did you see this Dominic Mysterio guy? He's kind of cool. So
my favorite thing I ever heard about Dominic was after he turned heel and went with the Judgment Day, and him and Ray are feuding. And I want to say it was Chris Van Fleet that Ray did, but whoever it was, like, talking about how much fun he knew he was having working with his son and stuff. And he's like, I'm having a blast. He's like, so when y'all go out there and fight and everything, and then y'all go home, do you really laugh it up on the way home and really or critique his stuff on the way home? He goes, his ass don't ride with me. He turned on me. He got to ride with them now. I was like, oh, that's great. That's great.
But at the same time, that's something you probably want for your son to be like, no. You've ridden with me enough. Go ride with the other boys. Go learn from them as well.
And then you hear how, you hear the older stories about how committed to the gimmick the masked wrestlers were, how they would leave and, leave in the mask and then drive about, 15, 20 miles outside of town. But they would have somebody following them or close behind them, and they would stop and take the mask off, but they would switch cars in case anybody was following them. I'm like, that's some commitment right there, man. That is commitment.
Honestly, I love the luchas that just said screw it and wore their mask everywhere. Because you have these guys, big burly men in these beautiful 3-piece elaborate suits and just the mask on. And there's just something there about a luchador in a suit with a mask.
Well, I mean, people, people, because of his gimmick in WCW in the 90s and then TNA, people just don't realize how big Conan was in in Mexico before he came to the States.
They call, well, I don't know if you mean physically or in like the crowd, but they call him the Mexican Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was built well. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
I mean,
he's massive.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, he wasn't tall though. He wasn't tall like
no. But he was one of these guys that was.
Yeah,
his shoulders were like this.
He comes over here and they do the whole filthy animal thing, and they, he's the gang member of the NWO, and and his catchphrase is caught on. He had a good run over here, but he was doing soap operas and all the kind of he would come to the ring in a mask and take it off, and.
But does that play? Because it's in WCW and it's very Southern, would that play in New York the same way? Because I know the Southern states have a lot of what's a culturally appropriate term? A lot of Latin people. I know the Southern states have a lot of Mexican people because of. I think
if he would have came over, in that height when he had the long flowing hair and. If he was going to come to the States, I think the WWF would have done a better job with him of getting that character over.
They wanted him to be Max Moon.
Yep. And
nope.
This was yeah, but I'm talking about like in his height.
Yeah.
The Max Moon thing. There was they did so many people dirty. Dirty White Boy being the plumber, and then
Terry Taylor being a rooster. Oh my God.
Well, Terry Taylor, if you've ever listened to those stories, he did that to himself.
Okay.
He did not name himself, but when he got there, they signed him. And I've heard the same story from like 15 different people talking about the rooster, that they said Bobby did not want to work with him. Period. Mm-hmm. Bobby did not want to work with him, but he come in. Like he was bigger than Hulk Hogan. That's the way he carried himself backstage. And they said one day I forgot who they said Vince was talking to. They said Vince just stopped and turned his head and goes, "That's the cockiest little prick I've ever seen in my life." And, so that just that stuck with Vince. And he's like, he is so damn cocky. And he's not that big a dude. So the cocky just kept coming up for the couple weeks. And he turned him into the Red Rooster. You want to be cocky? Here, do this. And but I will say they finally created the Red Rooster figure, and if I see it, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I got to put it up here on this Legends wall up here.
Or Terry Taylor.
And he was a decent worker. He could talk decent, but again, it's like when Tully and Arn left, they talked about, they were pissed off at the payoff and this, that, and they were promised a certain amount of money. And, then instead of Crockett coming to them and saying, I know I promised you this, I'll try to make it up to you down the road. We didn't make as much money as I thought we were going to. He said, they just got a check that was $20,000 less than what they were promised. And that's kind of where it came. Mm-hmm. And he said, so they flew to, that place where, Connecticut.
There you go.
And, went to Vince's house, talked to him, and told him what they were making with Crockett. And he said, you'll make more here. And he said, the reason they were only there a year, he said, that Vince promised them they would make more. And he goes, but at least the same amount. And he goes, WWF was working 10 times as much as Crockett was. And he said, the year got to the end, and they went to Vince and said, all right, this is where we're short from what we had made last year. And, Arn neither one of them come across to me as not smart individuals. They both see, especially for the business. But, Vince looked at him and said, okay, what do you want me to do? They're like, well, you promised us this amount of money, so you're going to cut us a check. How are we going to make up the difference? It's like, I ain't cutting you a damn check. But Arn being the professional that he is, when
pulled out his clock. No, wait.
Tully, that's when Tully failed the drug test and kind of ruined it, finished his wrestling career. But, Arn stayed kind of like when Hawk disappeared, but Animal stayed and worked out the dates. Kind of same situation there. Mm.
It's like when Marty threw himself through a window and Sean had to sit there and do all the work.
I know. Marty was terrible. It's like, I mean, how would you like to be remembered that way when somebody's watching a tag team going, all right, who's the Michaels and who's the Jannetty?
You know, the funny thing is, I'm going to get some probably heat for saying this, but at the time, back then, a lot of people thought Marty was the better worker.
A lot of people did, yeah. A lot of people did.
Marty, like, when people say you're the Marty of the tag team, they don't mean like you're the worst worker. It's like you're not putting your heart into it and you're fucking around. So stop.
Well, yeah, it was
because it was his drug problem and he had let's just say personal issues.
It's funny you brought that up because there was some kind of Comic-Con going on. I saw a video clip of somebody, getting their picture taken and talking to Brutus Beefcake, and the Rockers came up somehow, some way, and about that whole thing of, being in the barbershop when it happened. And he was like, yeah, Sean's still a prick. And he was like, huh? He goes, he's really changed his life. He goes, yeah, he's fooling a lot of people. He's still a prick. He goes, him and Vince had that in plans for months to do that. And Marty never knew. He goes, he just screwed Marty. Sean will always be a prick. I don't care what he says. I'm like, damn, tell me how you really feel there, Bar.
Some people will never let you outlive your past sins. And that's, you know what I mean? Like, you can be the best person ever, but if you were a prick 25 years ago, they're going to remember that moment more than anything else. It's like with the easy, what's the expression? It's like a reputation is easy to gain. It's hard to gain, easy to lose.
Well, on that note, as you can see, it's we've tried to do that damn draft for weeks now. So, but we keep, they say they're coming and then they don't. So, what do you want to do with that, Paul? What do you want to do?
Well, I just thought for the last couple minutes, I have what I would plan for the card. So I thought, maybe we can just go through this quickly and, finally move on from this project or whatever. But I thought, okay, if I could book my own card, Forbidden Door. I'm gonna keep this quick because I only have a few matches. So we open with a 4-way, just like I think we did Forbidden Door. Big multi-man match. We get from New Japan, we get Sho, Doki, and Katamaru. We get the Ops from AEW, Joe Hobbs Shibata. And then we're going to go a little out of left field. We're going to go get Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang from NXT. And then we're going to take Mystico Mascarada Dorado and Neon. I don't know this person too well. But it's like we're going to take trios from each company, have a nice 4-way match, nice and hot, just like the pay-per-view we saw. After that, though, I'm going to go a little bit weird, and I'm going to have a 4-way for the Internet Championship. I believe Matt Cardona still has that somewhere floating around. So I thought, who could we get? So 4-way match. We're going to take Jack Vaughn, Ben Bishop, Grado, and Matt Cardona, because those four are Jack Vaughn and Ben Bishop are really hot on wrestling social media right now for their kind of jokes and skits and stuff. Grado got himself over on the internet before that was even a thing, and Matt Cardona is the internet guy to a degree. Like he was the guy that got himself over on the internet that way. We're gonna do singles match. Gabe Kidd versus Chad Gable. We'll just let those guys. I don't even have to explain the booking in the match. Just let them go ham on each other, because you got two young guys that really want to prove something, and Chad Gable's a phenomenal worker.
Gracias.
Phenomenal worker. For some reason, I have another 4-way match. I didn't think of this as I was writing it down, but we're going to take Braun Breaker. We're going to take Wardlow. We're going to take Hachicero, and we're going to take Shingo Takagi, and we're going to make them beat the tar out of each other. Take the 4 biggest, toughest dudes from all around the world and just have them beat the piss out of each other. I've been dying to actually see this next match in real life. The 3-way, R-Truth, Mark Briscoe, and Ryusuke Taguchi, the man who loves to get his ass out as much as possible.
Well, yeah, my dream 3-way to get some ass out would be me versus Miss Bliss versus Liv Morgan.
It's like interesting. Okay, so the two final matches are 1-on-1, and I keep it simple because these are kind of dream matches. Can we just have Darby versus Walter? Like it's simple, right? You take the smallest guy and the biggest guy, just let them have it. And then for the main event, you just do Cena versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, the two baby faces that are on their way out. And then you do a little sneaky snoo on the main event. What I would do is you have Tanahashi and Cena, let them do a match, let them work their stuff, and then have a heel run in. So now you can have the two baby faces stand side by side. Cena can raise Tanahashi's arm, vice versa. They get a big pop. The crowd goes home happy. Like, if I could book Forbidden Door my way, that's how I would have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches, including the one that would be on the pre-show. So that would be how I would book the Forbidden Door.
Okay.
I tried to get a little bit from everywhere, but I would love to see how you would book this style. This anyone from any company.
Well, I did a quick one, so I will go over it really quick.
Yeah, I'd love to hear this.
I didn't because I when I was reading your message today, I'm like, well, let me see what I got. Mm-hmm. So I did a little bit of everything.
Okay.
So we are going to start it off with a Legends attraction match.
Ooh, I like these.
Sting and the Great Muta versus Jericho and Minoru Suzuki.
I think that might actually be physically possible in real life. I don't think the Muta's doing too well, but 3 out of 4 are there. That's not bad.
All he's got to do is spray some mist. We'll get to 1, 2, 3.
We can do it. Sounds good to me. It's a great match.
Women's International Dream Match. Mercedes Baldy Monet versus Julia.
Yeah, that'd be actually a fantastic match. I don't know if they've ever met, but yeah, I'd be down for that.
Rey Mysterio versus Vikingo. Okay. Then you got your big meaty men slapping meat with the clash of different countries with Brock Lesnar versus Gunther or Walter, whatever you want to call him.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you couldn't have a dream pay-per-view without putting Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. on it. And this one here is for the AEW fans. Kenny Omega versus Kota Ibushi.
Just go right for the heart on that.
Then you got a Roman Reigns versus Will Ospreay.
That would actually be a phenomenal match.
And then your main event features Kazuchika Okada versus Seth, and I'm going to do it here, fucking Rollins.
It's like what was that quote? It's like, you have my interest. Now you have my attention. Okada and Seth? Oh my God. Those guys are both phenomenal storytellers. Like,
and you know, I will go back as far as like we're gonna back up the time machine and take Okada out of the Don Callis family and have him with Jack Perry and the Young Bucks. So then you could have the Vision and the Elite interfere. You know, that way neither one of them had to take a clean fall.
Oh, so it's because you brought up a Legends that Legends match. I did have something on here I wasn't sure if we were gonna do, but I thought, how great would it be to have Daniel Bryan and Stone Cold both come out for a save? Like, they save the baby faces and they do the big pop, and then they vegan beers. It'd be silly, but I feel like people would pop at how silly it would be.
Yep. So like I said, I didn't do any storylines. I just pulled some names out of a hat, and you know, like the Rey Mysterio Vikingo would be kind of like a high flyer passing of the torch match, and
that's what I was thinking. You have a young guy and old guy, and
then you know,
Ray keep up.
and then let Brock and Walter beat the shit out of each
Just
other.
beat the piss out of each other.
And then you got, like I said, and I think personally, I think Julia would make Mercedes look stupid, but it would be depending on who was booking it on how that one went.
Mhm.
And I split the Golden Lovers up. They're not golden anymore. So yeah.
I feel like that's $1 million match though. Like I don't think they've done it often, the one-on-one. I think it's like very, very rare. Kenny and Ibushi know what they're doing when it comes to that.
But I will say this, unless something dramatically changes, I would like to see it again. I don't want to see it here. They need to do it overseas.
I think they knew. My only disagreement would be because of their age and the shape that they're in physically. I don't think they should do it in Japan. I think if they do it in Japan, someone's gonna get hurt. They go nutty in Japan. I feel like it's just a cultural shift where they get there and murder mode kicks in. Keep it in America. Keep it safe. Don't let any of them get hurt because they're both pretty beat up at this point. Like.
Well, that might be true, but they're also both. I mean, God, Ibushi hadn't hardly worked any since he's been under AEW contract, and you know as well as I do that Omega's style has not been nearly as hard hitting here as it was in Japan,
and it's slowed down. There's a lot less boom.
So if they were to go to Japan for one match, as the old saying goes, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
It's like the gunslingers going out into the sunset. Like, let them do their thing. Let them be who they are. And
right. Don't worry. Next week, we'll give you a pillar to wrestle. It's okay. Just
a pillar. Oh my God. One of the 3 pillars. That'd be great.
We'll give you something soft next week, man. Just actually, you know what? Y'all go do your thing. And when y'all are done, take your showers. We're going to put you on a plane to the beach for a couple weeks. And then when you come back, we'll, we'll let you rest it up a little bit, but tonight we're gonna need you to turn the clock back about 10 years.
Yeah, okay. That was like Kenny Okada. Please, can you turn it back 10 years? And Okada's like, no. Perfect. Great.
And that match would of course probably end with
good night. Bang.
His voice is awful.
I'm gonna steal an idea that I thought Gato and Jado should do because they've been 2 guys that have been kind of together their whole careers. But Kenny and Ibushi should do a match where at the end of the match they die, and that's it. When it comes to kayfabe and when storyline, that's it. Because I always thought that would be a silly way to write someone off TV. They're dead.
Yeah, but the last time they tried to do that was when Vince McMahon's limo blew up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
No, yeah. It's like that all got Paul London fired. So yeah, let's not do that. Poor Paul.
So what day is your match coming up?
Oh, I have to pull up my Google Keep. We are September 27th. We are going to be at Frantic Pro Wrestling. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I just heard from the promoter that they're interested in having me for a match. So I'm waiting to hear, opponents and blah, blah, blah.
How did your announcing thing go?
That's supposed to be, I'm supposed to try it for this company coming up. I've done commentary before. As you should know, I have very little challenge talking at long lengths, but it's trying to be good at commentary is really hard, really stressful because you don't want to make someone look like a jerk, Well,
I think honestly, the biggest transformation for me or problem for me, I would see doing commentary would be getting used to, and it makes sense, why they make them do it, but would be watching the match on your monitor or your pad versus looking at the ring because they want you to call what the fans are seeing, not what you see. And it makes complete sense, but that would take a little getting used to. And so, you've got all this action going on in front of the ring and, so that's why they look so surprised a lot of times if they don't know somebody's coming across that table because they're not watching it. They're watching, they're watching the tablet.
And not everyone knows what you know about professional wrestling. So, for example, I was commentating a match where it was a submissions only match, and they did a spot where they're in the corner, the guy's sitting on the top turnbuckle, but puts the guy in the submission, but they're on the ropes. So I get excited because there could be a submission right now. My other commentator goes, yeah, but they're in the ropes, so the it doesn't count. And I have to, in my head, go, do I explain that submission only matches are no DQ and therefore there are no rope breaks? Or do I just keep that in my head and keep moving forward? You know what I mean? Because I know that a submission can happen right now because I know the rules, but not everyone knows the rules. So I have to kind of play it carefully. You know what I mean?
I know he's been around a long time, but I love watching Charles Robinson referee one of those three-way matches, because then the heel will get tied up in the ropes in a submission hold, and he starts, break the hold, and Charles is like, what do you want me to do?
It's no DQ.
What do you want?
But as a fan, your instinct is they're on the ropes. There's going to be a rope break. But no one said no DQ. They just said submission only. So the guy I'm doing play-by-play, the guy's doing commentary. This guy's a vet. I can't tell him that he's wrong. I have to, you know what I mean? I have to just keep pushing forward. And then at the end of the show, I lean in and go, hey, just so you know, technically, if a match is submission only, so I can only win by submission, you can pull out a gun and shoot me. That's how it works. That's how it works. Because I didn't submit.
All right. We started it off with Paul's pet peeves, so I'm going to end it with one of mine.
All right, let's hear this.
Cage matches.
Okay. I'm listening.
I have hated a WWF/WWE cage match since I was probably 6 years old.
I have a feeling I know what you're about to say, but let it out, brother. Let it out.
Before I say it, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When you're going through a feud,
mm-hmm.
and the heel keeps walking off, as the champion heel keeps walking off, getting counted out, back in the day, throwing somebody over the top rope, whatever. Now low blow,
running away, being cowards,
getting disqualified, or whether it's the horse,
Bobby Heenan in general,
whether the horseman or somebody, the interfering, and they finally, after months of this shit, they book them in a cage. Why do they book them in a cage?
So the heel cannot escape, and no one can interfere. You're locked out, and they're locked in.
So why in the blue hell can you win a cage match by escaping? That is the stupidest shit that I have ever seen in my life. If the babyface wins the match, you make them look like a chicken shit because they're climbing out to get away. Because the whole point of the cage is so you can beat up the heel and he can't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And if he's got a manager or a partner trying to come up the cage, you've got time to go knock him off and then go back and beat up bloody heel that you got in there that couldn't run away from you. To put a cap on the feud. That's or you finally win the title if you're fighting Ric Flair back in the 80s. That's the way you finally win the title, unless you're Lex Luger, and then they wouldn't put it on you for whatever reason. But
I feel like the logic is backwards, because if you watch old WWF, Sherry Martel is trying to get in the cage to help out Macho while Hogan's trying to fight her off. Now it's like Sherry Martel's trying to keep you in the cage and you're trying to escape.
Yep. Like I want to say the first cage match I saw in WWF was, when the whole rock and wrestling thing started. And, I had seen, let me back up. I had seen highlights of Snook and Morocco, but I didn't watch the whole match. I hadn't seen the whole match, I should say. But the one that I remember was Orndorff and Hogan. And Hogan trying to, climbing over the cage. And, it looked like a damn something you'd see in McDonald's playland with that blue cage they had. And Orndorff, if you can find the actual footage, Orndorff won the match. He hit about that much sooner than Hogan did. But they fixed the footage, and of course, and so when they got showed back, because they they showed it like twice or three times, and I guess somebody got in the ear like, "Will you stop showing that?" Hogan didn't get down first, but it's like, I'm like, what is it? What is this? And I'm used to Harley Race and Ric Flair, Terry Funk and Jack Briscoe, or Greg Valentine and Roddy Piper, whoever, just blood from head to toe, and looking exhausted after a cage match, and then you got your big baby face trying to escape. That's just
I get the point. Is I put the heel down long enough to get out, but if you put the heel down long enough, but do a standing 10 count.
Well, yeah, but as a true baby face, if to book a cage match, back in those days anyway, you had been through so much. You had been beat up. You might have had your hair cut. You might have had your partner put out.
You might have got stabbed.
Whatever, to get to that point for the cage, you're not going to want to knock him out to let him lay so you can escape the cage. You're going to have to keep beating on him until somebody pulls you off and stops the match.
And what's funny is there's on another podcast I watched, OSW, the Old School Wrestling, they have something what they call Raw versus SmackDown logic. You and me are in a cage match. Why are we even going to fight? Bell rings. I'm running up that cage as fast as possible.
Yep.
I can climb a fence faster than you.
Yep.
I win. What's the point?
Well, it's like when they did the gimmick battle royal all those years ago, and Sheik won it. It was he couldn't go over the top rope anymore.
He was the only one that couldn't bump. Yeah.
So,
but that match, anyone could have won it, and that didn't really matter. So, sure.
You know what warmed my heart for that battle royal?
What?
Was actually getting to see Michael Hayes come out to Bad Street USA in his Freebird robe, at a WrestleMania. That just, those guys were so good back in the day, and they were on their own worst enemy a lot. They were in the WWF for a cup of coffee till they got thrown out 3 weeks later. But
coffee, ooh, yeah.
But so nobody to blame. Like I said, seeing an older and wiser Michael Hayes get to come out to Bad Street USA and in his cowboy boots and his Freebird robe at WrestleMania.
I think that's something that they should do. Maybe not every Mania, but it's harmless enough. You can throw it in, and people are kind of pop for Dallas Page. Yeah, sure.
Well, you look at the stuff they've gotten out of it. When they did that 3-on-1 match with Jericho and the Legends, and how good Ricky Steamboat was still able to go, and you got another match out of it.
Yeah.
And old school wrestling fans will still pay to see their heroes unless they met them and didn't like them.
And that's something Japan's been doing for a long time, because a lot of the people that are in their opening matches are people that can't really wrestle, but people want to see them. So put them in a 6-man tag. They can do 1 or 2 spots. All the old grandpas can come watch them and be home by 9 o'clock.
But yeah, that's like I said, that's been a pet peeve of mine since I saw.
I totally understand that pet peeve, and I agree 100%. Yeah.
Like the first, even as a kid, the first time I saw it, I'm like, what is these?
Have a top, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, well, that's the first cage with a top was the War Games, the double cage War Games.
Yeah.
And that's where old poor JJ said he would never get back in the ring again because, Hawk didn't have enough room with that top on it to get as high up as he needed to for the Doomsday Device.
Didn't Luger someone get hurt because they went to powerbomb him? There wasn't enough room, and it was kind of
Sid Vicious. Yeah, Sid Vicious went to powerbomb him. But yeah,
I can see why they don't have the roof, but it makes sense in storyline.
Yeah, JJ was of course in there with the Horseman, and he always took the fall or submitted. And the Warriors went to do the Doomsday Device, and Hawk didn't get up far enough because of the top. And JJ's shoulder bit the dust. He's like, all right, JJ wrestled. He was an enhancement to mid card guy back in the day, and he could work, but he wasn't great. But and he was like, all right. He's like, all right, I'm done. Don't ask me to do that no more. I'm done. So I guess we are too. We started.
I was going to say that match is a bit like this podcast. Can we?
Well, so you send me some clips so we can actually see what you do. And if you got any questions, concerns, I don't care if you got concerns. I really don't. Catch us on TikTok, catch us on Instagram, on Facebook. We're here each and every Thursday. I'll just say 9-ish because damn it, something always seems to happen where at least we're at least 5 to 10 after. Like tonight was 9:30 for my technical difficulties, but it's all good in the hood. So for Canada's greatest export, that is Paul. My name is Jason. Good night.